Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Lounge podcast with your hosts, Liz and KT. And today we're going to be talking about UK versus UK book covers. So this is going to be a good one to watch on YouTube if you're listening. I mean, don't stop listening. We love our audio listeners too, but this will be a good one. And what a surreal way to rein in the 50th episode. I didn't realize it was the 50th until I did the outline last night. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way, we're at 50. And if you didn't know, we first started this podcast wanting to be like a book podcast. And obviously, we still talk about bookish things every now and then. But in the beginning, we're like, oh no, we are going to be those bookish girlies. So crazy to see where we're at now. So happy we made it to 50. And I'm excited to be talking about books today.
Yes, we're going back to our roots. Me and Kindy, we were when we first started the podcast, we're like, oh, we want to talk about books, safe space for the book girlies. And now look at us, we got rid of our book section. But we're going back to our roots. We're coming back to the OG days.
And even though we got rid of our book segment, we still have book episodes. So, we're just working through our book slump step by step.
It's all about work. It's all about progress. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about what we've been up to. So, Kennedy, what are you doing?
So for today, honestly, didn't do much. I woke up, watched the F1 race, and then cooked myself something to eat. And then I knew that I was going to record the podcast with Elizabeth. So I was like, okay, I need to do something productive in between that time because I knew I had other things I wanted to do during the day. So I've been over here deep cleaning my bathroom, vacuuming, took the trash out. So been productive in a cleaning sense. Just trying to get ready because I have a pretty busy week ahead. It's not my last week of classes. Actually, not even close. After this week, I still have 2 full weeks of classes until finals week. Which is honestly crazy. But let's just say it's the last full week I have to get two big class presentations and papers done, and then a presentation for my internship. So it's just a lot of finalization things I have to do and research, but I think I'll be good. And then y'all, I've been attracting two different types of conversations over the past week. F1 chats and Christian surveys. So I'm going to tell you guys about it. So F1 chats. So in one of my classes, I've talked about this before. We have to come in prepared with 3 different Wall Street Journal articles because he calls you randomly and you have to be prepared to share an article that you read. That's in the business world. And I literally read this one. Okay, I didn't read it, but I skimmed it the night before. And he didn't call on me, but the professor also brings in articles of his own. And he ended up bringing it up, which I was very surprised about because I've had this professor before and I was the only one in that class that knew of F1, except for this one boy. But in this class, of course, I was the only one who knew what. Okay, I wouldn't say know what F1 is, but watches it. And it was just about the media rights. And I was like, oh my gosh, crazy. And I don't know why, but it always happens when I'm wearing this hoodie that it just comes up in conversations. And so then later that same day, actually, I was approached by these people to take a Christian survey. And I didn't realize that's what it was going to be at first. But they were just oh, you want to take a 1-question survey and you get candy. So and this is the second time this has happened. So I was like, of course, I will take candy if all I have to do is answer one question. And then as the guy was leaving, he was like, oh, is that a McLaren pullover? And I was like, yeah, it is. And he was as in the Formula One team. I was like, yeah. And then we just kind of got in a conversation about he doesn't know many people that watch it, especially here. And then I told him about the marketing class thing, which he probably did not care about. But yeah, so that was that. And yeah, the first survey I had was last week maybe. It was basically about science and God, da da da. And then this one that I did where I had the F1 talk, it was about God or no. Jesus and resurrecting on Easter. And then on Friday, I had one that wasn't quick 1-question girl. They was asking me questions who was Jesus to you? How certain are you from 1 to 10 that you're going to go to heaven? Blah, blah, blah. Which I literally did the same survey. My junior year. So spring semester, my junior year. But with my first roommate, for this college academic year, that made no sense. But anyways, so it was that same survey because it's just the BCM trying to recruit people, but it was just funny because I was just only said yes because I thought there was gonna be candy at the end. But it ended up being a nice conversation though at the end of the day. So I don't know why I'm attracting these surveys. Yeah, because it's definitely not the first time I've been approached. But I mean, I'm gonna take it as a compliment that they think I'm approachable and look nice.
I was just about to say that, Kennedy. I think it's just that you're approachable because I feel like you're always in situations where someone is approaching you in some sort of way, and it's always a very like unique situation. I feel like who else is getting approached by Christian survey takers? Only Kennedy. And then for my little life update, y'all, I have been grinding because I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'm studying abroad and everything, but back home, I'm supposed to be finishing my capstone for my honors classes. And it's very much mid-April, which means, the semester's about to end, as Kennedy was talking about. And I have been slacking on this capstone project very much so. So I've been grinding this past week, you guys. I'm all caught up on everything that I can do on my end. So I'm just waiting on my like advisor to give me some feedback so I can finalize it because I'm trying to finish it all before I go on my spring break trip, which my spring break starts this week, you guys, which is really crazy to think about. But I'm so excited about that. And then my little other life update is I got to see my mom and brother this past weekend. They're actually in Europe right now, and we met up for the weekend. We met up in Milan, and then we went to Bosnia because my mom wanted to take us to this like religious thing. And I got to see them, and I hadn't seen them since I came to Spain. So that was really excited to see them all. Just my mom and my brother, but that was a lot of fun. And then we're gonna meet up again this week. They're gonna come visit me here in Spain. But we had a little interesting situation. We had two little interesting things that happened to us in Milan. That airport, avoiding it at all costs because why were we running to our gate? I have never experienced that before. And keep in mind, we got to the airport early. We got there like 2 hours early, but there was like this whole like you had to go to the check-in and like verify your passports, and there was only two people working the check-in desk, as there's all these people trying to like check in and do their things for different flights and everything. And then the security line, yeah, we had to like actually push our way through the line. I was just like I was in the front leading me and my mom and my brother, and I was just like, excuse me, sorry, our flight leaves in 10 minutes, our flight leaves in 10 minutes, our flight leaves in 10 minutes. And then we get to like the very front where it's almost like your turn to start putting your stuff like in the bins and everything. And these people let us in front of them because we tell them like our flight is literally leaving in 10 minutes, and they laid us in front of them. So we moved the, like those like security tape things that they have, like you could just like move it and then it closes up or whatever. We move it, and the security lady starts yelling at us, and she's like, no, 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 like you can't do that. And we're like, they said we could cut in front of them, and she's like, no, like it doesn't matter, like go back and everything. But we ended up, that little fiasco ended up resolving itself and everything. But we actually had to run. Like there was two other people that boarded the flight after us, and we were all running. So I'm very surprised we made that flight. Honestly, I'd given up hope. I thought we're gonna have to book some other flight or figure out how to get to Bosnia. And then our other little interesting thing was we rented a car in Bosnia to go to like the religious site that my mom wanted to take us, and she forgot her license, so I had to drive. Keep in mind, I haven't driven a car, you guys, since I came to Spain. So I haven't driven a car for the past 4 months, and the roads where we were driving in Bosnia, y'all, we was going up a mountain. Like, in the movies sometimes where it's curvy roads up the mountain and like you're literally beside the edge. Yeah. And it was dark. It was nighttime when we got there. Yeah. I would look up and I would see like the shadow of the mountain. But yeah, we made it, it was all okay. I was driving kind of slow at some points, because I was like, ah, but yeah, had that happen. But it was fun. Got to see my mom and my brother, so
So is he on spring break? How he missing school?
girl, so literally, okay, right now he's on his spring break, right? But the week before, he missed like Wednesday to Friday because he went to New York with like his choir. So I guess that was excused because it was like a school trip. So he did that. And then he came home for a day, packed up his stuff, and then he's on spring break right now. But then next week, because he's also here next week, he's not on spring break, but my mom made it count as a like educational trip or whatever. So yeah, he will, like, I guess kind of have to come back and start doing, well, they don't have finals yet because they still got a whole month of school. So I guess he'll be okay. I do know he's taking like a dual credit class and he does have like his laptop to do some homework.
Oh yeah, I forgot high school gets out like way later, like the end of May. I'm over here like I'm in college break. I'm like, he missing a whole lot towards the end, but yeah, he'll be fine. But yeah, I think that's all I had to say. And now we're gonna get into our favorites of the week. So mine is it's gonna be a continuation of last week. I'm sorry. But y'all know once I find something, I'm like obsessed for a while. And that is British YouTubers again, but specifically I just have to talk about Arthur TV, Italian Back, and like that duo and that like friend group. Like if you know, you know, they're just so funny. Like I don't know, that's pretty much all I have to say. And also Saving Grace. That podcast is also really funny as well. Recently, she had honestly, I like never watched a single one of her podcast episodes. I knew of her because like I'd be tuned in into like the British media, you guys. So like I obviously knew of her, but she had the Basement Yard on, and I don't watch them either, but I've gotten clips of them, and they're like they're from like Jersey, New York area. So very funny like friend duo, and I got clips of them on her podcast on my TikTok. I was like, oh yeah, I have to watch it, and it was literally so funny. So I just started watching her other episodes with like other like British social media personalities that I know of, and they're just so funny. So yeah, so those are who I like.
And then my favorite of the week is my DIY mini Vaseline tube that I got. So I've talked about my Vaseline in like our favorites episode that we did. And I love this Vaseline, you guys. Like morning and night, I just put on my lips and I wake up and my lips are just fully hydrated, you know, I'm good to go. But I'm under the dilemma. My Vaseline tube is like a bigger jar, so I can't fly with it. So I feel like on these trips when I go, my lips are just chapped because I have like gloss and stuff, but it's not the same. It doesn't hit the same as the Vaseline. But I got this little empty container thing that it had like some eye cream or something. I don't know. It had something in it, but I'm out of it. So I washed it out and I got a spoon and I scooped out my Vaseline and I put it in there. And I was finally able to travel with my Vaseline. And let me tell you, my lips were not chapped at all the entire trip. So if you guys, this is your sign, if you need a little lip product and you have a big one, just make a smaller one. You don't got to go out of your way to buy one.
And that is what we call women in STEM. And actually, I'm going to New York, and I'm like, wait, I might have to use that trick because I have like a lip thing, like a lip scrub that I don't use, and I can just clean out that bottle. So, yep. Thank you for that tip, my personal influencer.
What can I say? I'm out here doing the Lord's work.
Yes, honestly, Liz, tell us about all your mission work, aka you influencing me.
First the mascara, now the Vaseline. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be collecting some commission here, Kennedy.
I don't know who she get a commission from because it ain't me. And now we're gonna get into our sports corner. So we're gonna switch over to me by myself, recapping the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. And since I am wearing my McLaren shirt, let's hope that McLaren did their thing. And I think specifically they're in Jeddah, so hopefully they did their thing in Jeddah. So yeah, we're gonna let me talk about it. Hello guys, I'm back with another solo race recap, but we have a really exciting race to talk about, so I'm super excited. So let me just get my documents and we'll get right into it. So this week was the Saudi GP, and wow, I was not expecting this to play out the way it did, but I'm super happy it ended with the Oscar win. But before we get into that, let's just talk a little bit about Media Day. Honestly, I usually don't have much to say about Media Day, but just because of Red Bull's performance the last couple of races, people have been kind of speculating, like, could Max leave, especially now that he has a baby on the way? And a reporter asked him about it, and for quote, this is what Max said. He said, just focus on commentating. I'll focus on driving and we don't need to worry about other scenarios. I was like, period. That is such a Max answer. Like one thing about him is he's going to be short, sweet and short, get to the point. Like he doesn't care at all. So I just thought that was really funny and so Max. And for practice, I honestly don't have much to say. But Yuki did have a crash in FP2. And when I saw that, I was like, dang it, not Yuki. But all that matters is that he was okay. I don't even know for sure how he crashed. I know this track is like harder to overtake because it's faster and a bit narrow in the corners and stuff. So I wonder if Yuki just got a little too close to the wall and just kind of crash. I honestly did not look into it, my bad. But now on to quali. You guys, Lando's crash in P3. I was shook. This was another one. He kind of clipped the wall and just boom, he's into the wall. I was like, oh my gosh, not Lando. And it's always just like, I was so sad to see it. And I'm like, I just know the haters are having a field day with this. And it's just so annoying. But again, I'm just glad to see he was okay. And then one positive that did come out of P3, or not P3, Q3, was Carlos being in Q3. When I saw his performance in Q2, I was like, Carlos, I need you to get to Q3 more than I need to live. Like, I needed to see that. Like, I feel like some people have opinions already about Carlos moving to Williams, blah, blah, blah. But look at Carlos. He got that Williams into Q3, and I feel like that just shows the potential of what the Williams car can do when you put all the pieces together. So I'm super excited to see the future of Carlos with Williams, the rest of these races, and hopefully we can continue getting into Q3. And then Max, he did end up taking pole at the end. I was sick when I saw that he bumped Carlos out of, or not Carlos, when he bumped Oscar out of provisional pole. I was like, no, like we had it, we had it, we had it. And then we did it. And I was like, bro. But the results of quality were Verstappen pole, Oscar P2, and Russell P3. Now, on to the race. I always say this, one of my favorite parts of an F1 race is sometimes just like the first lap chaos, like just because they're all bunched up. So you just see like some people, you know, the cars just get so close, they're going wheel to wheel, and it's just really exciting to watch. And this race did not disappoint with the first lap chaos. So in the beginning, Oscar and Max were scrapping, and whew, I was so nervous. So actually on my TikTok, not a promotional or not a plug or whatever, but I did do like a reaction video, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I was like this, like I was just freaking out. I was scared that they were gonna crash, but Max ended up going off the track and he got a 5-second penalty, which is a very controversial thing from this race. Like Max was not happy even after the race. He did not want to talk about the penalty at all. And it was because Max overtook Oscar outside of the track. And I mean, I'm a McLaren fan and a Red Bull hater, so of course I think the penalty was deserved. It was Oscar's corner, even when you watch the replay, like he had every right. And I think the FIA did what they needed to do. And then another incident that happened in the first lap was Yuki and Pierre crash. Thankfully, it was just a simple like a racing incident. It wasn't nothing like Yuki made like kind of like a wrong move or Pierre made a wrong move. It just looked like basically there just wasn't enough space. So like sometimes when there's just not enough space for so many cars trying to go in the same way, it just happens. And I was like, dang. I was like, not a red flag already, or not a red flag. I was like, not a safety car already. It's literally the first lap. That's how I knew this race was gonna be crazy. And then later in the race, it was about lap 21 out of 50, I believe. Oscar overtaking Hamilton by your like, I just love that he just kind of sent it. And that's what I love about Oscar's driving style, is that he freaking sends it, and I love it. He was like fifth at this point, and I think he had just pitted and Verstappen hadn't pitted yet, so he was, you know, trying to make it back up. I don't think the Ferraris had pitted at that point as well, because it was like a one stop race. So that was really interesting. I'm like, yes, one thing about Oscar is when it counts, he is going to pull through. And then I thought it was funny, just Lewis and Lando, they kept swapping with like overtakes at one point. Like Lando would overtake, but Lewis had DRS, so he could easily just pass Lando. And this happened like 2 times. And Lewis was probably like, what is this guy doing? But eventually, when Lando got DRS, he was able to overtake Hamilton and keep that position. But it was just funny, especially as someone who is a McLaren and Ferrari fan. It was just funny to see them just go back and forth It was like, what? Like, Lando, what are you doing? And it's like, Lewis is probably just like, what is this guy doing? And then Fernando and Gabby had a little moment of contact. I think, again, it was just a lack of room. And it was just like a little clip. It wasn't nothing serious that caused like a yellow flag or anything, but it's just funny because Fernando actually manages Gabby. And also, I'm glad everyone is calling him Gabby now, like the drivers and stuff, because like saying the full name, I was like, oh my god, that's a lot. So I'm glad we all have collectively decided to call him Gabby. But it's just funny, and I know Oscar made a joke about like, oh, he's gonna have to find a different flight home. It was just funny. But yeah, the results of the race were Oscar P1, whoop whoop. I was so excited about that. Verstappen P2, then Leclerc P3, which I know Verstappen was not happy about that P2, and I wonder if Alex Albon heard about that on the flight back home. And I was just so happy to finally see a Ferrari podium. If you want to know my dream podium, it's just having McLaren and Ferrari on the podium. So I'm glad I got my two. Would love to see maybe Leclerc second or first, but as long as I got at least one and one, I'm happy. I was scared towards the end though that Lando was going to overtake Charles. I do think if there is a couple more laps, he probably would have. But selfishly, my Ferrari half of my fan behavior for F1 was happy that he didn't catch him. So now I'm going to give a quick little update on the points. So after this race, so my drivers for this race were Esteban and Liam, and I sadly did not gain any points from either of those drivers, so I gained no points. So I have 57 points still from last week's race. And then Elizabeth had Fernando and Lewis. She only gained points from Lewis, which she got 4 points from him. So now she is at 60 points. So we are still very, very close. And now you're going to see who we get for Miami. Now that I have wonderfully recapped the race, we are going to draw for Miami, and I just have to say Miami GP. I'm confused on why Formula One hasn't reached out and told me that I won the giveaway yet. Like, I have to make plans. So Miami, why haven't I heard from you? But anyways, we are gonna draw for the GP. I think I'm gonna just ask Google again, but I'm gonna try to be different and be like, pick a number between 20 and 1, and let's see if that does something. Pick a number between 20 and 1. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and we're gonna press generate. Okay, it gave me 4, which I feel like Liz has already had 4. Yep, she had him for Saudi. So, yeah, she can't do 4, so we're going to press generate again. 14, which I feel like is another one Liz had. Yep, that's you. Okay, generate again. 6. Okay, 6. Liz, your first driver for the Miami GP is Liam Lawson.
Okay, I hope he's doing his thing.
So now after the Miami GP, neither me or Liz can get Liam Lawson.
Some things are for the better. So I did also the little Google one, and 18 is your number, Kennedy.
Okay, let's see. 18. Okay, it was Carlos Sainz, so I can't get him. I've already had him.
9.
9. Oh, I got Lance Stroll. I feel like the Aston Martins aren't talked about enough. They're pretty consistent, especially Lance. He doesn't do anything too flashy, so I'm excited for that one. Now I'm going to generate again for Elizabeth. I'm gonna press generate. 19. Okay, Liz can't get that because she already had him. That was Nico Hulkenberg. Generate 14. Why do these things like the number 14? 16. Okay. You got Ollie Behrman. I don't know if you remember him. He's a rookie for Haas. And he's been doing pretty good, so that's a good pick.
I got faith in my team. Great things are looking out ahead for me. I think you already got this one, but I got 3 for you, Kennedy.
3. Oh, wait, no, I haven't had 3. That's Charles Leclerc.
Oh.
Period. It was you that had him. I'm weak. Okay.
My team pulls through. I'm hoping I'm ahead of you right now, Kennedy.
We'll see. We know how Ferrari is. One moment you're hopeful, then the next minute you're depressed, but that's just the average experience of being a Ferrari fan. So now after the Miami GP, neither me or Liz can get Charles Leclerc. Wow. We both still have some pretty good options though left open for us.
We can't get Liam either.
Nope. The ones that
You are out.
yeah, the ones that we can't get for the rest of the season unless we go through them all is Charles, Max, Liam, George, Yuki, and Nico Hulkenberg.
You know, I feel like we're starting to get into those characters that are very unexpected. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Good. It's going to spice things up, you guys.
Exactly that. That is all for Sports Corner. Now we're going to get into our pop culture talk. Hopefully, it's not too outdated by the time this goes up, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So, Coachella is happening. By the time this is up, I feel like weekend two might have just probably happened. Yeah. So, Coachella, our friend Kelsey, I think, brought it up in the group chat like the first like day of it, or like the day when people were traveling, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of not tuned in, like I don't think I really care. I ended up caring, you guys, but I will say not to the extent of like past years. Like honestly, I don't really care about the people who are going, like the influencers that are in houses, like I don't really care. But like for like the influencers that really just go just because they genuinely like it, that's the content I'm really loving. So yeah, and hopefully one day I can make it to Coachella that has a good lineup.
I have not been keeping up with Coachella too much, but I love TikTok for the specific reason of like being able to see the behind the scenes of Coachella, like the real life stuff. Because I feel like for me personally, a lot of the people that I follow that would like go to Coachella, it always be the glamorized Coachella, you know, the influencers who are staying at the house, have a pool, and then they go into the festival like in the evening time. They're not there all day waiting in the lines. But through TikTok, you're able to see the behind the scenes of like the normal average person camping out. Sometimes they like camp out their entire day just for that one end of the day set, which I think is insane. But I have been looking at the outfits. Some of the outfits, you know, I thought last year we kind of like ended the whole like doing too much with outfits, you know, being more like hippie casual vibe. But I feel like this year we're going back into the doing too much, the James Charles with his cheeks out and everything era. I know you know what I'm talking about, Kid D.
Yeah, I feel like within like the past 2 years, maybe everyone's been like, it's Coachella. Like we do not have to be dressed up, but this year I feel like a lot of people. I feel like maybe like that the new wave of like TikTokers maybe are like going for the first time. So they're really like going for it, dressing up. And honestly, I haven't seen that many of those type of outfits. I feel like the ones that I've seen are like people that are getting flamed. Like I know this one New York City influencer got flamed for her day one look. I'm not gonna say any names, but it definitely was a fit. A lot of people were talking about Alex Earls, but the one I saw I liked. It was very Coachella vibes. So I don't know why people were hating. Now, when I was talking about, I love seeing like the influencers that are there, they're like not with the house or anything. We're gonna talk about some British YouTubers again. I talked about them before. Sophia and Chintzia, and then Chintzia's sister Lydia. They're there, and their looks so far have been mwah, chef's kiss, just so good, like giving desert fairy vibes, and it's so good. Like those are the type of vibes I like from my outfit, or very like boho. Like there's this TikToker named Brooke White, I believe, and I liked one of her looks that I saw, and then another one, Lauren Loveless, I think. She had like kind of like a simple look, but it was really cute. Like those are the type of things I like.
I'm in the same boat as you, Kennedy. I love like the more hippie, just like casual vibe, like a long skirt with like the belt, rather than like the rave outfits. Because I feel like Coachella isn't a rave vibe, you know? It's not like Miami and like Ultra where they're just in bikinis and everything. I feel like it's just different, especially because you're in the desert where it gets cold at night. So I like more of that vibe. And I feel like some of these influencers are trying to adapt rave into Coachella, but it's not a rave. Like there is lots of people. It's a music festival, but it's not the same.
Yeah, and I feel like they just think like, oh, like it's the desert, it's gonna be hot, which it is going to be, but like you still gotta think about the nighttime. But I feel like I could see the rave outfits if you're seeing like some EDM artists maybe, but like if it's Charlie XCX, girl, maybe rethink your outfit.
What Kindy said. Some people, again, some stylists, I feel, yeah, some people just don't need a stylist, or some people need a stylist. I sometimes I can't tell if it's themselves dressing themselves that way or if like someone else is dressing them that way. Sometimes I'm like, I just don't understand
And I think some stylists don't need to be stylists.
that part.
And then next, this was some kind of sad news that I saw recently, but Eric Dane, aka McSteamy, if you watch Grey's Anatomy, he was diagnosed with ALS. Now listen, we're not medical doctors, even though we both did watch numerous seasons of Grey's Anatomy. But I think it's like a disease that kind of like eats away at like your muscles and stuff, to where like you can't like after a couple years, like a year or two, you won't be able to like talk, really move your muscles, walk even. So it's gonna be crazy because he's about to film Euphoria for the newest season, and I'm just like, that's probably gonna be like one of the last projects he's gonna be in since he has this diagnosis, which is like kind of sad. Like, ugh, why?
Him being in Euphoria doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I feel like he's one of those characters where I will always associate with like one specific role, and I can't picture him um
Euphoria.
in Euphoria. Like I was about to say in Anora.
Wait, did you know that he was in Euphoria though?
Yeah, I knew.
Okay.
At first my mom was like, he's in Euphoria, and then I remembered like his paper or whatever.
Yeah, his character is definitely interesting in Euphoria. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But prayers to him.
I will say though, I for some reason when I saw your text, I don't know why, I was associating him with Brad Pitt, because doesn't Brad Pitt have something? I feel like I remember seeing videos of him and his wife, and he was like, might not, or he might lose or forget his family, something like that. And in my mind, I associated those as being the same thing.
I know you're talking about, but it was not Brad Pitt. It was Chris Hemsworth. I think he has the gene. I think for like Alzheimer. So he was like, I really want to like be present. Blah blah blah. I don't know.
Exactly who I was talking about, Chris Hemsworth. That's the one.
And then our next bit of news is mostly for me because I don't think Liz knows either of these people. You might know these people from Summer House. It's a Bravo reality TV show. But yeah, but Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner, they went on the Jimmy Fallon show, and I just have to say this was so iconic because I'm a fellow giggler, which is like their podcast is called The Giggly Squad, and they call like their listeners the Gigglers, and it's just so good. They're so funny, and I feel like recently their career has just been taken off more than it already has been, and especially just like such a good time. I mean, Hannah has been thriving ever since she left Summer House like a long time ago, but Paige recently has I feel like really been coming into like the fashion space, and just I think we all see it where these reality TV women go through a breakup and then their career just skyrockets. So like Paige, if you didn't know, she just got out of a really long, like serious relationship with another reality TV star, and it's been kind of a messy fallout. And I feel like a lot of people have been kind of like rude to Paige because they're like, because like the main thing is like people are like, you should have stayed with Craig, but I think a big problem in their relationship was they're in their late 30s. Well, no, Paige is in her early 30s. I think she's like 30, 31. Craig, I'm not sure, but I know he's a little bit older, around that age. And basically, he wants a family. He wants her to settle down, blah, blah, blah. But Paige is like, like, I want to keep working. Like, she's kind of like at the peak of her career, but still has so much more to go. So that's like a big thing. So it just makes me happy to see her thriving, because I know all those people that are just like, those people that are like, women should stay home and blah, blah, blah. I know they're pissed, and that makes me happy.
That's the only right way to look at the situation. When you were describing it, I was like, yeah, good for her. Good for her to get out.
Exactly. We love a woman who knows what she wants. And like, even in like her podcast episode, I think when she was describing it, maybe, or honestly, I don't even know, but she was just kind of like, I just blinked. My mind just went blank. I remember. She was talking about how she was like kind of scared because she is in her later 30s, the internal clock, fertility clock, whatever, for women. She's talking about how she wants to freeze her eggs. She's actually going through that process right now. And she was like nervous to end a relationship this late because, there is kind of like that stigma around it. But obviously it was a great decision.
You gotta do what you gotta do, forget the hate back or the backlash and everything.
That part. And then speaking of reality TV stars, we're gonna go into what we've been watching. So I see we've both been pretty tame with what we've been watching. I started to rewatch the latest season of You because I like never finished it. I got up to the sixth episode and then I never finished it. So I've been rewatching it because the new season comes out April 24th. So I'm like, okay, I have plenty of time to catch up before I watch anything else. So that's what I've been watching. And I remember when I watched it, I wasn't like too into it, but now that I'm rewatching it, I just think I'm in like the mindset to really watch the show, and I've really been liking it more the second time that I've been rewatching it. So I'm excited to get to the end because surprisingly, not I have not been spoiled for it, so like I have no idea what happens. Shockingly, but yeah, I'll let you guys know maybe in the first or not the first, maybe in the next episode, my thoughts on it fully. But I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait for the next final season.
I also did not watch the complete newest season of You. I watched because they, you know how they dropped like you were talking about part one and then part two or whatever. I think I finished part one, or I was very close to finishing part one, but I didn't finish part two. And I also did never heard anything of how it ended, which I feel like is really weird for You because I feel like the ending in You is always insane. So interesting. You'll have to let me know how it goes, Kennedy. And then for my what I've been watching, I started this new show. I think I have like an episode left. But it's a Spanish show. It's called El Jardinero, the Gardener, and it has Polo from Elite. If you know, you know. And I don't know what my thoughts on this show are. Like, let me describe it to you guys and then like give you what I'm thinking. So it's basically it's this boy, he's a gardener obviously with his mom. They have like a nursery, and when he was younger, he was in a car accident with his mom and he lost the ability to be able to feel emotions and anything like that. So he it's kind of like it was kind of giving me like autism kind of in a way, at least the way autism is portrayed in TV shows, but more so like the feelings wise, like he can't feel anything. Like growing up, like the mom's always like, oh, like this is how you're happy or like you're sad and like that kind of stuff. And so he feels no emotions, and they have a little side gig where he like kills people basically. If you know, you know, Polo's actor, but he like kills people, and people like hire the mom and him to make people disappear. And so his newest, also this is no spoilers, this is all in the trailer, you guys. His newest victim or target, I guess, he ends up like falling in love with her kind of. But yeah, so there's this whole, so that's all developing, there's all this other stuff going on, and I don't know how I feel about it because I just don't know. I feel like there's something missing to the plot for me, but I am almost done with it. And I feel like the last episode of Spanish TV shows are always absolutely insane. So we'll see if when I finish, my thoughts on it overall change. But so far, it's different but good. And also, Polo's actor, he's looking really good. It's like Kennedy, brown curly hair, and he has like these little glasses. Yeah, that's the whole reason I started watching the show. Again, the edits. I got one edit and I was like, let me download the show.
No, because I followed the actor on Instagram and I saw he was promoting it, but I didn't look into what the show was about at all. So I was like, like I might watch it in the future once I look into it. But now that you said what it's about, I'm like, after I finish You, I might just have to see what The Gardener is about. I'll figure out how to pronounce it in Spanish the next time we talk about it. But you'll have to let us know how good that ending is, if it'll be worth my time to watch.
Yeah, we'll see. Because right now, where I'm at, I'm like, okay, I feel like it's gonna go all this way. I'm like, I feel like this is kind of predictable how it's gonna end. But I also have a full other episode left. And I'm like, I feel like everything's already going down in this episode. So we'll see, like I said. We'll see if my thoughts change next episode.
And now we're going to get into our song of the week. I'm not sure how I pronounce mine. I don't even know what language it's in, but it's Have 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 by LVBELC5. You have definitely heard parts of it on TikTok. I heard it from TikTok, so I'm gonna play the part that's on TikTok, but it's also like my favorite part. But I'll play it for you guys right now. Yeah, I made a TikTok to that part the other day that was like F1 related and it was so good. But yeah, that is my song of the week.
So my song of the week is Cherry by Harry Styles. I've been listening to a lot of like Harry Styles lately, and rediscovering why I love this album so much. And it's also a kind of sign, Harry, where are you at? Where's the new album? Yeah, just where are you right now, Harry? Are you okay? But my song is Cherry by Harry Styles. I just miss your accent and your friend. And that is my song of the week. Okay, you guys, and so now we're gonna go ahead and get into the gist of the episode. So, like we said, we're going back to our roots. We're going back to the books where we started from. And we're gonna be comparing some of the US covers versus the UK covers. So, if you're not a fellow book reader, then you may not know that books have different covers depending on where they're published. When I found this out, I was blown away because I would be seeing these really cute like UK covers and I'd be like, why doesn't it look like that when I go buy it on Amazon? Little did I know UK publishers have different covers. So we're going to be talking about some of our favorites, our books and everything that we love, and comparing which cover is better. Is there a better cover? We're about to dive in, you guys.
Yeah, like Liz said, we're getting back to our roots. Honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna prefer. I feel like they're all just so different, but we have a ton of books, a whole different bunch of genres. So let's just get right into it. So the first one's gonna be The Midnight Library. I'm gonna put everything on the screen as well. So the one on the right is the US version, and the one on the left is the UK version. I would say for me, I personally like the US version better. I feel like I don't know, the UK version just gives me like a very like school book. Like I don't know, it gives very serious vibes. And honestly, I know the plot of the Midnight Library is like kind of more serious, maybe more philosophical, but I feel like the UK version gives like philosophical as in like nonfiction and not like fun and whimsical.
I also agree with Kennedy. I prefer the US cover on this one. I feel like the UK cover, it kind of reminds me of like a prison. And just like Kennedy said too, it's very serious. Like just the house, it's kind of like what's in there? But then on the US cover, there's like planes, shark, like it's very whimsical, I feel. And I love the little windows, is it? I think it's windows. I just love how that looks.
And then the next book, okay, I think all the books is going to be the right one is the US, and then the UK is the left one. So yeah, Claire and the Sun. I feel like maybe I should say a little bit of what this book is about to maybe make sense, because I know I have it. I don't know, Liz, if book is on your TBR, but essentially just like a book about like an AI robot gaining emotions, I think is the whole premise. Yeah, it's on my TBR. I really want to read it. I think it's a lot of people like it, but I personally like the US cover better just because I feel like it encapsulates more of what the story is about, in my opinion, versus the UK version. I feel like the UK version is a little plain. It's a little bit more artistic, but the US is a little bit more storytelling, maybe.
I did not know what this book was about, but based on your description, I agree, the US cover. Because I feel like if I'm looking at the UK cover, I wouldn't even think of it being like a robot, a human, anything like that. But the US one is very discreet too. Once you get into it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. And I love the look of the sun on the hand.
Same. I like the look of the sun on the hand as well. I just don't like how the sun is like the way it is on the UK version, because I'm pretty sure like the way it looks cut off is like one page. It's not one of those like half pages type thing. So I just don't really like that look, to be honest.
That sounds really weird to me. I'm just like imagining the page and everything. I feel like they were trying to be creative here. It was not executed correctly.
And then the next one, this is a favorite at the pod, the Normal People one. Again, the US. And I'm not just biased because I'm American, you guys. I just genuinely like it. And I'm just now realizing that the lines are faces. I just thought they were random scribbles.
I have to disagree with you on this one, Kennedy. I love the UK one because the UK one, it looks like it's just like a can of like tuna or something, but when you zoom in and you look, it's two people like hugging each other.
Oh my god, I just realized that. I literally just thought it was a can of tuna. Wow. I'm like, was there something about tuna in the book? Or if there was, just know I don't remember because I read it a while ago.
I also do not remember if there was tuna in it, but I stand by my statement. I love the UK cover of this one.
I think I just like the US because I just really like the blue and green. Like, I don't know, it's very familiar to me. Maybe just because, that's just what I'm used to seeing every day, but I really like it.
I feel like both of these ones are just great covers too. Like I would want both copies.
Now that I see that there's more to the UK cover, I definitely like it more than I did. And then next, The Paris Apartment. So that's another book I have on my TBR. I haven't read it yet. Again, for me, for the US, the UK version is it's giving plain. Yeah, I just like how the US version, I like the pink lettering with the dark background, and I feel like it gives more spooky vibes, and it is a thriller. I feel like maybe the UK version gives more like mystery, like, oh, like we're about to Sherlock Holmes, but the Paris Apartment's like, ooh, thriller.
Yeah, what Kennedy said on this one. Also, the US one, I love the pink. The pink just adds so much to it because I feel like books don't really have this kind of color, especially in the font. So I really love that. And yeah, what you said, Kennedy, about the mystery versus like spooky ghost vibes, that's the perfect way to describe it. Like the UK one, it kind of reminds me of like the Inheritance Game, like something like that.
And then next, we're going to be talking about 3 different Emily Henry books. We are big Emily Henry girls. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the first 2 books we're going to talk about, but the third one I personally haven't seen until I did research. But the first book is Beach Read. Honestly, I like them both equally, to be honest.
See, this one, I'm a US fan all the way. I think my favorite kind of book cover is the ones with like the cartoon kind of people. I've talked about this before. I despise the covers with like real people on them, but when it's little cartoon doodles, I love it so much. I think it's so cute. It's so adorable. I love the beach read one. The colors, the different color of like the beach towel and everything. I just love the US cover. Whereas the UK one, I do love the colors of it, but I feel like it just blends. Like you don't even notice that like the guy's swimming in the ocean or like the lake right there and it's her legs on the side. But the beach read US one, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. But I will say, I feel like the US version does better encapsulate what the book is about. Because I feel like Emily Henry, like, yes, it's romance, but I feel like hers are more like, I would say honestly, hers are more fiction with romance subplots, honestly. Just because I feel like a lot of her books just have more deeper conversations. Where I feel like Beach Read, you're thinking like that gives more like the romance vibes, whereas Beach Read, the US version, gives more like of the fiction vibes.
And even like the words on the UK one, it just adds to exactly what you said.
Yeah, it's just like more like fun, I guess you can say. And then next is People We Meet on Vacation, which is actually called You and Me on Vacation in the UK version, which I feel like the title definitely makes more sense because they didn't meet anyone on vacation in this book. Not to spoil, they were like friends beforehand. I think, again, it's been a while since I read it. This is an unpopular opinion, but People We Meet on Vacation is like my favorite Emily Henry book. So I just have to say the US cover is my favorite.
Never knew that the names were different. Like I knew that the covers are obviously different, but I never processed that the names were different. And the names, it's not even anything similar either. Also, why is it different? Isn't it both English? But anyways, besides the point, the cover. Yeah, I'm with Kenny on this one. Again, the people. I just love little cartoon people. And I feel with the UK one, the name, it kind of gets like lost with like the neon colors and everything.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, it just kind of like all blends together. But I think why like the titles are different is like the same reason like the ending for Beach Read was different. Like some oh, girl, I heard a noise. I think it's like some cultural things. Like, I think in Beach Read, spoiler if you haven't read it, like they got engaged at the end, I think, in the UK or in the US version, but in the UK they didn't. I guess they don't really hold that as value over there, maybe. But yeah. It's probably cultural for the title.
See, another thing I didn't even think about the differences within the culture and the stuff that Kenny just talked about. I feel like we honestly, I wouldn't have thought that just because I feel like the UK, obviously English and English, you wouldn't think that they'd be changing like the names around, but the cultures do make sense.
And then next we have Funny Story, which I didn't even know that the Funny Story had a different UK version of it. Honestly, I'm indifferent towards both, to be honest. Like, I feel like they're both kind of like the US version is a bit more plain. The UK has a lot more going on, but I honestly don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
This one, I have to go with the US one. I feel like also just because it matches my other picks of the US one, it has to all match, you know? You can't come in out of nowhere with this UK cover in there in my collection. I like how the UK one, not the UK one, the US one, the picture blends in with the name and like the author, and I feel like the UK one, Emily Henry's name is just like slapped on there, you know, and then you like lose the sight of the Crocs and like the little details.
Yeah, that's very true. You definitely lose attention to detail in the UK one. I would have to say I like things very simple, so I would have to say I would like the US version better. But honestly, I don't know how big of a fan I am of the blue background. Like that blue color, even though blue is my color, I just don't know how I like it with those other colors. I don't know.
I'm just thinking like the one before this is Happy Place. That's the name, Happy Place, and like the the books match. That's one of my biggest pet peeves when the books don't match.
Yeah, the Happy Place and Funny Story definitely have like a similar look to them. And then next, we're gonna get into some Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, plural. First is Malibu Rising. This is one of my favorite books from this author, and I have to say the U.S. version. I mean, it eats. I just don't like the color on the UK version. I feel like just having the people in the water in the US version just like it just encapsulates the vibe perfectly of this book.
The UK one also gives me very like a book that you would find in like the Scholastic Book Fair, and it's one of those like disaster books or something like the I Survived books. I survived something with like a big wave, like some type of tsunami or something that I would think of. And the colors just blend too much together, I feel. So, no surprise again, the US cover.
Yeah, the UK version, like it's not enticing me to read it at all. And then next is Daisy Jones and the Six. What is with the UK and these colors that they like on their covers? Again, I like the US version because it's just simple and I feel like it again captures the vibe of the book more, especially because it's told in like an interview style. And this is giving very interview newspaper article esque with the person on the front.
I also think that even though like I'm looking at it, the person it's the same person. For some reason, the UK one, it looks like it's a photograph of them. Like it's not cartoon looking. And I know that the US one isn't technically like cartoon looking, but it just like Kenny said, the like newspaper vibe, it just makes me think of that. So it's more classy.
I feel like low-key the US or the UK one is giving like movie poster vibes.
Yes, exactly. Like I thought it was the girl who played her in the movie.
And then next we have some Abby Jimenez books. So first, Just for the Summer. Honestly, there isn't much difference from what I see besides the font. But I mean, I like the font in the US version better. Yeah, it's just more my vibe. I don't like how the UK is like lowercase for the title.
Yeah, I was just like looking at both of these back and forth and I was like, where is the difference? Am I going blind? But yeah, I like the font more of the US cover. The UK one, it just looks like it was slapped on there. Like it doesn't flow. It's not blended in right to me.
Yeah, I agree. Just it's just something about that font that's like tearing me up. And then next is yours truly. I feel like for this one it's kind of like the same vibe. I just don't really like the lowercase font that they have for it. And I don't really like that color, like that greenish yellow color, honestly. I like the red and yellow. You know, it's catching my eye. Marketing majors, if you know, you know. And I don't know, I just like the look of it a lot better, honestly.
I'm right there with you. The red, it just like it's more appealing to the eye rather than like the orange, not orange, the neon green looking one. It just, if I would see that in the store, I would pick the red one more.
And next, we have a book that Liz has read recently, and that is Caraval. How do you say it?
I say Caraval, but I also have never actually heard anyone say it, so.
Okay. So for me, I like the US version better. I don't know what this book is about, but it's just something. I know this is like a fantasy book. So the US one with the like with that blue lighting in the back or whatever and like the red streaks, it just gives me more fantasy vibes, so that's why I like it.
Yeah, I'm literally the same, no surprise. I'd also feel like the words just like blend together with the overall picture.
Yeah, I feel like the words, like the UK one, it looks like separated, like it's the background and then the words. But the US, it's like the background and the text are kind of like intertwined with each other.
And then our next one is Divine Rivals, and the US cover is the words like some flower plant, something going on. And then the UK one is like the animated cartoon one. This one, you guys, I don't know. I love both of the covers so much. I love, love, love again the cartoon looking people and everything. And I feel like in this, the UK cover, they did their thing with that. But I don't know which one to pick. I don't have a favorite, I think, just because I also love the colors of the US one, like the flower and the little like dot things in the background.
I'm similar to Liz, and I don't know. I really like them both for different reasons. I'm pretty sure it's a YA book, so I feel like the UK version definitely kind of leans more into the YA vibes with the cartoonish people on front, and and they're like exactly how like I imagine them. So I really like that aspect. But the US one is just also like so beautiful too. I feel like the US we focus more like artsy cutesy, whereas UK is more like storytelling ish in a way. So I really like it. I don't know. I would say though, I would probably pick up the US one more likely though. So I have to say maybe I prefer the US version over having people on the cover, even if it is cartoonish in a way. It's more like a realistic, cartoonish looking drawing, but I really do like them both.
Yeah, I love the storytelling of the UK one. But like Kennedy, I would also get like I'm thinking on my bookshelf, I would rather have the other one. And I love that I know we don't have the second book on here this list, but both for the UK and the US one, the second book follows the same like mirror image or like pattern in cover wise, which I feel like some books don't. Some books they just be switching it up.
Yeah, I have not seen the UK cover for the second book, so I'm gonna have to look at that later. And then next we have the Inheritance Games, another favorite series over here. Girl, I don't know what the UK was thinking. The US eats by far. It just, I mean, just all the things in the background. It's so good. I feel like it fits the vibe of the story very well. I feel like the UK is more like, girl, why is there question marks on their faces? Like, what? Like, I'm scared. I'm scared to read this book.
I did not know that there was a different UK cover, and when I saw that this was the cover, I for a second thought it was a joke or something. Yeah, like what are the question marks? It's also giving more like a elite school drama, like Elite the actual show or Gossip Girl or something, and not he left his inheritance, they're solving riddles, you know. This is given some dramas going on. Yeah, the US by far wins that one.
Yes, I definitely agree with they giving Gossip Girl vibes, especially with the girl in the front. I'm like, this is not how I imagined the main character at all. And like just the way, like it looks more like they're all family, and especially where it says $1 billion fortune to die for dot dot dot. Like it's giving like family, like they're all related. Things have gone wrong, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's not giving the vibes.
And then our next one is another love series here, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I didn't realize that these were a UK cover and a US cover. I've seen the UK cover. I feel like I've seen it in person too. I didn't even notice the difference between them. But my favorite is the first one. I feel like you can tell more that it's the what I imagine when I read it, where they're like in the movies where they're pinning the crimes, like the connections and everything, like the board and everything with the ribbons and everything. I feel like you can tell that that's more of what's going on in the US one. And in the UK one, it looks, I don't know, it doesn't give that to me.
Yeah, you can definitely tell in the UK version, like they like both covers have like the same vibe going on, like with the pins and the red string. But I think the US version, it's more clear because it's like I don't know. I just think with having the title on pieces of paper, because I just think, oh, like when you're stringing things and pinning things, like you put pieces of paper next to like pictures and stuff, so like you know what you're looking at. So it just makes like it just makes more sense. And I don't really like the white background and like the grid behind the text. And I feel like the text is just kind of like hidden. So that's not my favorite design wise.
Yes, it's the hidden part because it almost looks like the red ribbon goes on top of the words, which I don't know if they meant for that to happen, but if they did, I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a very good job on whoever designed it.
The next one on our list is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. This one is one of my favorite books actually, and by far, of course, the US one. It's very purposeful that you can't see their faces, that there's like a door between them, dividing them, separating them. I just love this one. This one is, I think this is one of those books where I very much judged the book based on the cover. I thought that the cover looked super pretty, and then I kind of like figured out what the book was about after that.
I'm gonna be opposite here. I really like the UK version. I don't know why. I do know like the US version does make a lot more sense because of the plot. But I don't know. I just really like the look of the UK one. For some reason, I just think it's that background color. To be honest, I don't know. I just really like it. Like I feel like I would be more inclined to pick that up than the US one. I feel like for me, the US one is giving kind of like old. Like I don't know why it's giving like old vibes. Like it's an older book, but the Flasher, I'm like, but if it was the UK version, I'm like, oh, like what's this book?
I do love the like mint neat. I don't know what color you would use to describe that one, but on the UK one, the color, I own no books with that color cover, so it would definitely add a little pop.
And then the next book is The Song of Achilles. Still haven't read that book. I know, bad, but honestly, I'm indifferent towards for either cover. I like them both to be honest.
This one, I like the UK one, I think, just because of the arrow with like the heart shape of it. I really, really like that one. I feel like this is one of those covers where if they joined forces, it would be a really cool cover.
Yeah, I just have no thoughts because I'm not like a big Greek mythology girl. So I'm like, I don't really care what the cover looks like. But if I had to choose one, I would maybe say the US, maybe because that's just what I'm familiar with.
And then our last book that we have is the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, specifically the first ones that is what we're comparing. I think the rest of the books, they follow the trend of whatever like country cover they're all doing. As far as choosing which one I like more, I love the UK one. Oh my gosh, I almost got confused again. But I love the UK one. The pink, the guards, it just looks so like whimsical, and this world is more of a like a fairy tale whimsical, like they have like fates and all this like magic stuff going on. I mean, the second one does kind of give magic because of the what looks like fairy dust almost, but it just, I feel like, doesn't embody the whimsicalness of it all.
Yeah, I am gonna agree with Liz on this one. I like the UK version a lot better. I just like the pink, the whimsical vibes. I don't really know what this book is about. I forgot. I remember I knew what it was when I added it to my TBR, but I done forgot already. But yeah, I just think it's a different vibe. I'm not a big fan of like darker covers. I think so it just doesn't catch my eye, and it just looks very dark and very serious, which is not really what I want in a fantasy book.
Yeah, I feel like the dark covers are always like more not scary but more like darker novels. And this book is definitely, at least where I'm at, it's definitely not giving a dark novel at all, like heavy themes and things like that. But I love the UK cover series, like books 2 and 3 and everything. They all follow that same trend, and they just look so pretty. Like I'm imagining putting them on your bookshelf and facing out. Yeah.
So now we have reached the end of this episode. Feel free to like share below what books you prefer, the US or the UK version, we would see your comment and we would interact back. So feel free to share your thoughts. If you're listening, make sure you're following us on either Apple or Spotify and leave a 5-star review. And if you're watching, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all those type of things because it helps us out a lot. And with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.